Um, uh, Zina, I want to ask one quick thing. Like, do you see like my presentation moving forward, or you don't?
No, we don't. Just
Doesn't
fixed.
move forward? Is the first one? Okay. So we can fix that. That sometimes happens when you share the story. Okay, what about now?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so welcome guys to our event. So today our event is about AI in healthcare. So basically it's a certified workshop. So in order to get your certificate, you have to do the task at the end of the event. So our speaker is Mr. Shadi Wahba. He is a technology engineer who turned entrepreneur. He co-founded AMBER Medical in 2018 as one of the very first telemedical companies in MENA region who helped thousands of patients through COVID times. AMBER Medical has expanded to be a full digital healthcare platform for both patients and doctors. Since then, he has been involved with multiple startups in different positions. He is a very strong enthusiast of AI in healthcare. Shadi holds degrees from Iowa State University and Alexandria University. Shadi held a lot of positions with IEEE branch in Alexandria University in his undergraduate time. Mr. Shadi, the screen is yours.
Hi everyone. It's actually a pleasure to be here and to give this. And I know the event is about AI in healthcare. However, like I'll try to say a story first to get to AI and why it is important in today's world. Um, I'll try to be a little bit interactive, but yeah, if it will be hard, then I'll just move forward. I'll start with one question. Um, uh, what do you think is the first sign of civilization that humans have seen? And what I mean by that is, like, when researchers were looking through the human history, at what point they thought that civilization just started? And I know a lot of people will think, okay, maybe the tools, maybe like discovering fire, maybe all these things. But actually, um, the first sign of civilization was a femur that has been broken and then healed. And the reason why this is a very important insight is um, before civilization, there was no medicine, there was no healthcare. If you get a broken bone or if you bleed, you just die. And the first sign that people start thinking about each other and building a civilization and a community was when people start to helping each other in hard and harsh medical conditions, such as a broken bone. So that's why Margaret Mead, the very famous anthropologist, thought that the first sign of civilization comes from a femur that was broken and then healed, because this means that there was a doctor there. There was something in getting healthcare that helped that person for his bone to heal. And let's go really quickly about like the history of our civilization and how healthcare extended a lot our life expectancy. So in the 1700s, that's not very far away. That's like about 200 years ago, 300 years ago. Um, when you live until 38, then you're the old, you're the grandpa. And this started changing actually in the mid 1800s when we invented the soap. And although this seems like what, like how is that important? But soap made us uh, a lot more resilient to a lot of viruses and bacteria and all of this, which made life expectancies start to ramp up after that point. Then in the early 1900s, the other great invention was the antibiotics, which helped a lot throughout the viral infections and through a lot of diseases that was killing humans all the time. And in the mid of the 1900s, we got the first invention of the vaccines and organ transplants, and then in the 2000s, the invention of artificial organs transplant. And as we go, as you can see, the life expectancies of humans is always increasing. And the reason why I talk about this because the next big thing that we'll be using to expand our life expectancy is AI in health tech. Let me just share a piece of fun fact that men are always expected to live less than women. And the reason for that, I think, like because men do a lot of stupid things like that. But this has been a fact for a very long time. And I think the other reason is like through most of our life as humans, a lot of men will actually tend to be more outside the homes, the living situations, which actually make them more prone to get that disease versus women. Um, a big overview of what's happening actually. What are the stages that we think about when we think about healthcare? So there's four main stages. The first stage is what we call symptoms onset. Is like now I'm a patient, I have some symptoms, and I want to understand what's happening to me. And in this stage, there's a lot of, I don't want to call them problems, but potential opportunities to fix. For example, in the symptoms onset, you have the misinformation that everybody goes and Google, hey, I have this cold, and then Google for them, you have a virus that will kill you in 2 days and stuff like that. And this is not something that, this is a big problem that we are seeing all the time. And the other thing is because of all this misinformation, you don't go and get the right um, diagnosis. And this makes the discovery of what you really have become a little bit late. And then this will make treating you harder. The second problem is okay, now I said I want to go to the doctor. So I need to visit that doctor and get a good diagnosis. The problem here is doctors, until this point in time, are very scarce. And if we look more specifically on the Middle East, we have only zero point 0.4 doctor for every 1,000 patients. So if you need to visit a doctor, you would need to wait a very long time. You need to travel to find the best doctor for you. And all of these are problems and opportunities to develop and use new technologies to fix. The third point is, okay, now I got my diagnosis, I got my visits. Now I need to be treated against that. And one of the biggest problems that are there is what they call generic medications. And generic medications mainly that you go and you just grab a medication that should work for everybody. And that's actually has been found not to be true. Every single person is so different. The way that they interact with chemicals is very different. And that's why the only way to help with this is to do more personalized medication. And we will talk about that later in the presentation. And like the last part is, okay, I got my treatment, I got my follow-up. Now I need to recover. Um, the problem is, how do you know that you're already recovered from this disease? How do you know that, okay, I'm doing better? Yeah, you can feel better, but like you need to actually keep monitoring your vitals better and better and all the time, continuous as much as you can, so that you understand that I'm actually getting better, because the way that we feel sometimes is very deceiving. And definitely after recovery, you need to be educated about like what kind of diseases you can encounter or side effects or how to keep yourself away from this disease as you go. So these are the four main problems that the healthcare in our world faces. And all of these problems, we believe that AI can actually help in fixing each one of them. And I'll try to shed some light on each of them as we go. There is a big belief that in uh, this decade we will be able to increase the global average to 81 years old, the life expectancy. And that means that people will live about 18% more globally. And when I say like the the graph that I have shown you before, this is more into like the like more into like the West world. This is globally to reach 81 years old. This is like a big number because in the Middle East it's a little bit different. Let's give a little bit of background. Okay, what is AI? I'm not sure how many people are familiar with that, but like I'll try to be like really quick about it. So think about AI is like a baby. Hope it's like a cute one, like this one in the photo, that is trying to understand life around them. And the whatever information you feed the AI, the neural network that you have, will actually give you better results. So the more that you can educate them, the more the results will be better. AI goes through three very important stages to be effective. The first one is training, as I said, like giving them information. Hey, this is a dog. This is how it looks like. And then you test them, so you can actually show them some dogs that actually you have shown them before, or that looks very similar to it, and say, hey, do you think this is a dog? And if they say yes, then that's a reward, and if they said no, then you give them negative points. And finally, you just put it in the production, and the question will be, okay, tell me what is that? And this is in a very simple way of how AI works. It's a lot more complex, but just to give an overview for people that didn't know how that worked. Um, so now let's get into it. Let's get and see what AI can actually do, and what we have seen in a lot of different applications out there. So, if you remember, one of the things that I start with is like trying to figure out what's actually happening to you, like the diagnosis part. And one of the amazing things that AI can do, that humans can do, is that they can actually understand every single pixel in an image. So, for example, here, like one of the most prominent disease that is around the world is the breast cancer. Like the latest numbers is like one in every 250 women get breast cancer through her life. And the earlier you can diagnose that, the better it can actually be treated. So again, if you remember in my symptom onset, you need to be really, really early in discovering something like breast cancer. And with a lot of very nice AI tools, it was able to detect cancer 7x more faster and with more accurate than humans. And this can help the 2 million women patients per year. Like every year, there's a new 2 million women with cancer with breast cancer in the world. So think about how much this can help advancing um, the early discovery parts. And another very interesting thing that AI also can do is analyzing the electronic health record. So, for example, if someone has cancer, their vitals and their symptoms and what they can see every time they go to the doctor changes a little bit. But who has the time to go through every single document that a doctor had written for this patient? Nobody can do that. And that's where AI also can be really exciting because they can go try to analyze all the patient's health record and try to predict if they have some disease that is like really early also that we can actually help them with. And this predictive analytics is now like it's a $1 billion industry, still very new, but it has actually detected a lot of early diseases for people, specifically people that are in their mid-age, like between 40 to 50, where they would think that, oh no, I'm good, everything is good, but like they can detect the deterioration and the diseases really early. The next thing is, as you remember, I said, okay, now like you need to see a doctor, but doctors are scarce and they don't have that much time to see everybody really quickly. And this is where AI also can help with what we call the clinical decision support. So, for example, now the patients can go do their initial examination, and they actually can just go and measure take their vitals, measure their blood pressure, take the medical imaging, and all of that. And the normal way is you go with all this data to a doctor, and then the doctor has to decide what is the best thing to do for that patient. Analyzing all this data takes tremendous time from doctors. And if any of you is like have some doctor relatives or doctor friends, they don't have that much time per patient. They want to only spend maximum of like 15 minutes, 20 minutes per patient. So analyzing and understanding all of this can take a very long time, and we humans make mistakes. So instead of spending a week or 2 weeks to get back to the patient to tell them like, okay, we found this problem, we can have some AI that can analyze all this data and get some insights and referrals and multiple recommendations and give that to the doctor. So the doctor decision now is not about spending all the time to analyze this amount of data, but more of, okay, I think these are the four options and I like this one or that one. And definitely this can be a lot easier than waiting a week or 2 weeks. It can just be done in a few hours or a couple of days. And this like decision support can actually help countries that don't have that many doctors. There's some countries, so the open 4 to 1K patients, this is more like Middle East. But think about countries or think about cities that are like very far away from civilized uh, world. It's very hard for them to get any support from a doctor. But if with that idea, like you can use a doctor that actually is remote or far away, just to give the best and quickest recommendation as possible for these people. So it can actually really give better access even to these patients. So the next step, there was an MIT study where actually they built an AI to diagnose eye diseases, and it was actually 90% accurate. And that's a very big number for people that have worked a little bit with AI. They know that to get to 90%, that's huge. That's amazing. And actually, it takes just a couple minutes to give you the diagnosis. So think about this device, or if it can be integrated on our phones, phone cameras, and be kind of an app that people can use like really quickly to diagnose a lot of eye diseases. That will be very, very helpful. Okay, so now we are in the third part of our journey as patients, which is the drug discovery, the treatment. So now I need to be treated. As I mentioned, one of the biggest problems in the medication these days is actually the generic medicine. There's like, and you will find this among like your own family. You find like, okay, if everybody got a cold, sometimes this specific medicine works for me, but doesn't work for my sister or my brother or my dad or my mom. And the reason for that is, very recently, after we discovered like more on the microbiome and the huge bacterium that is living inside our bodies, every single person have a very different genomics around them. And also, when you live in a specific country, the environment has very different effect on you. And again, what's your medical history? That also has a great effect on how your body reacts to any medication. So the idea here is instead of like having just one generic medicine for everybody, we can actually chunk all these data, all their genomics and population data, EHR, any other pharmaceutical data, like if they are taking any other medication or not, take all of that, give it to our neural network to analyze it, and recommend the best, not the best drug component for that person, the best compounds that can be given to that specific person and make them have achieved better results. Definitely this is like a little bit more in the future because uh, it's very hard to get all this data about each and single person. However, you can think about it that it can help on more of like a community levels or population levels. So for example, if we knew that a certain population in Brazil have this specific environment inputs and they have this specific genomics. So they may need this specific tweak to this medication so that this will give them like a better um, results. So again, AI here can actually really be like this is something they cannot possibly do it themselves. You need a very strong tool to analyze all these data and understand what is the best thing to give to these people according to a lot, like millions and millions of metrics. Moving forward, let's say now you needed a surgery. Your treatment is not being done with precision medicine. You need some kind of surgery. And this is again one of the things that AI-assisted robots have been like getting in and getting around to help a lot with surgery. And the thing here is how to actually very accurately, precise, cut something or take away a tumor outside of a human. Definitely, there's amazing surgeons out there that have been doing this job for decades. But with this new technology, you can actually teach the robots to be like more precise and use maybe like something like lasers. As you can see, it can go as small as 0.03 millimeters. So like about 30 micrometers across, so to do this very, very small cut. And definitely with the small cuts, you can actually do a lot more with the surgery with a lot less side effects without like having internal bleedings or without having all this kind of um, mess that can happen if you make a mistake while doing the surgery. And this has been here for a good amount of time. Like in 2019 alone, there was 5,000 surgical robots that have made about 1 million procedures worldwide. Um, so just to link everything around, there's a lot of work that you can use AI in through the healthcare, from robot surgery to virtual nurses to fraud detection, if you're talking about like the insurance part, to preliminary diagnosis. It's huge, and it's about $150 billion industry. We are talking about like a lot of startups, a lot of huge companies, even like Google and Apple investing in huge amount of money in trying to get AI portion into the healthcare. And it's not easy because the first thing is getting the data is not easy. Getting all the data from the patients is not easy, and also training the AI to understand that complex matrix of all this data coming in is not easy. But I believe that this is like the future. This is where big money will be into as we move forward. So here's a quick vision. This is my own vision of how healthcare will work. I believe that as we get more and more technological parts on our body, we will have a continuous monitoring of everything happening to us. we'll be monitoring our weight, our respiration, temperature, skin, glucose, all of this, and definitely in an easy way. And hopefully it's in the real world on the metaverse too. And then being continuously monitored and taking all this amount of data, putting it on the cloud where you have your AI trying to understand what's happening to you all the time. And this will be very customized to each person because they know how your levels change through your day. They know that when you are doing this activity, your blood uh, uh, your heart rate increases by this amount, your hydration decreases, your temperature changes, and with this huge analysis, they can find any anomalies, like if something wrong is happening to you. And once that happens, it automatically sends an alert to you and make some recommendations also to doctors. So then we think that this person may have this problems. What do you think? Should we act on that? Do you have any idea? These are the recommendations that I recommend, and your doctor will understand like if this is a real threat or it's just like a bogus one. But then if there's a real problem, your doctor will be sending the recommendations of the medication you need to the nearest pharmacies. The pharmacy will build for you your personalized medication, and you will just go home after a good run and find some pills there that you can actually take, and then you will be good. Um, so I mean, like, we have all the components of the system right now. I think the question is how quickly we can build such a system and how smart it can be, which is very exciting because if anybody is interested in this field, this is actually the time to engage in one of the components of that system and start like working on it and building amazing things with it. Um, One last thing I want to actually talk about in this nice seminar is I talk a lot about like AI in the traditional way we have been thinking about healthcare. However, like there's a couple of untraditional things that I think will be coming in maybe 20, 25 years. And I just want to shed some light on them because like I think AI also will have great and very important applications in these things. So the first thing is the CRISPR. So CRISPR actually is a very, very interesting technology that we have invented where it can actually go into your DNA and change it. And by changing it, we can say that it can fix genetic problems that people can have. So think about someone that is born with a cancer in their genes, and you can actually apply this amazing technology on them where it can actually just cut the genes out and actually put it back together and you will not have this disease. It's amazing. And interestingly, we found that through a protein called Cas9, which actually was used to duplicate DNA and fix DNAs in our bodies when a DNA strand is ruptured. So the whole idea here is to like when a DNA is ruptured, they go and look at another DNA near it and try to copy the uh, the bad uh, letters there, the bad components. So the idea here is like actually instead of as the case 9 copying it from a DNA from your body, it copies from another DNA which has the right sequence and that can fix the patient's DNA. So it's an amazing technology, and I believe that this is like people have been trying to do that for a very long time, but now we have this tool, and I think it can be an amazing thing. Whereas the AI comes here, definitely sequencing DNA is a very, very hard topic to do, And I think with the new technologies in AI, the AI can actually look at the DNA, figure out where are the bad sequences there that need to be cut out, and you can actually create some proteins to actually make it fix it and send it to people. So it's again in the part of the personalized medication and treatment. Um, another really interesting thing that I would like to talk about is what they call the 3D bioprinting. One of the biggest problems that we are having now is like when you have an organ failure, you need to find a donor to give you that organ. And as you actually know, not all organs can be easily found out there. So the whole idea of, and again, like there's a huge amount of effort that is put there to make the receiver of that organ doesn't reject the donor's part because of the difference in the DNA and all that. And to do that, actually, what they do, they give them a lot of immunosuppressants. So your immune system goes down. So that person with this organ has to live with a very, very weak immune system all their life. So the idea here is, what if we can actually build organs from the same cells, so same body? So the way they do it is that they get a biopsy from the body. They give that to, again, an AI network to understand all the points of it and figure out like how it can actually be produced as what they call a bioink. Then they put that into a 3D printer and they can actually print an organ and just slide it into you with your own DNA, with your own cells, and that's it. Um, Definitely, it's not as easy as I'm saying it because organs are very complex structures, very, very complex structures. However, like as a start, I'll show you this video where they're actually uh, able to print an ear.
I'm Dr. Banasser, and my lab makes ears. The invention that we've discovered is a way to print living cells in a material that can be used to reconstruct tissues in the body. My laboratory is interested in regenerating cartilage wherever it's found in the body. The process starts with a scan of an ear. We sit someone down in a chair, and we have a camera that spins around their head and takes a 3D image of their head. Then can very precisely map out the topology of the ear. The next kind of key step is developing the ink for this printer. This ink is actually a living ink. It contains living cells. It's alive when we put it into the printer. It's alive when it comes out of the printer. The real power of the printing technique is that it can be used to make geometries that you just can't make with any other technique. You can make parts with holes in them. We can layer and cover and put different cells next to each other to create really the complex organs that make up our bodies. And after 2 months in an incubator, the tissue fills in and looks white, just like real cartilage. The implants that we're making are not rubber or plastic. They are alive. They grow inside the body or out. And this has a whole host of advantages over conventional technology. The body accepts these materials like it's part of the body because it is. Our long-term goals are to change the way that clinicians practice, to give them the next generation of implants that will be more successful, more like real tissue that will last in the body for decades.
So I will just conclude my presentation with this. Audrey Gray is a founder of AgeX, and it's a company that is trying to make people live 1,000 years. It's more of like a philosophical idea, but they say that there's a high probability that the first person to live 1,000 years has already been born, and in near future we will be actually just going to the clinic just once every 10 years for like a service to get new organs and get like fresh bodies, and then we continue our life. I'm not sure if everybody will be so happy with that life, but at least what I would love to live around is to be able to decrease the pains and the problems that people have through their lifetime with all these great technologies. And I hope you enjoyed this. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Shad. It was a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, so anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much for all your nice words.
يعطيك العافية دكتور.
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you so much.
Hello, Dr. Shadi.
Actually, it was very clear. The presentation, it was amazing, really.
Thank you so much. طيب أنا like I'll leave my yeah, the presentation. People were asking about the presentation. I think you have it
Yeah.
everybody. And yeah, and also please, if you want to share my email, if anybody has like technical questions,
Yes, sure. I will just.
Okay.
Hello.
Basically, the recorded meeting will be on YouTube on Sunday. I will upload the presentation and all the links.
Hello.
Great.
Okay, and thank you again. Thank you so much.
May I ask a
Thanks for your
question?
nice words, and I hope this was of benefit. And wish all of you the best of luck, and keep learning.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, guys, so I will send you the link so you can do the task. Please don't leave before doing the task, okay? لأنه اللي ما بيعملوا مش رح يطلع له certificate. You have until 8:10 والفورم بيتسكر, okay?
Please can you repeat اللي هلا حكيتيه لأنه كان عندي مشكلة بالإنترنت.
إذا حدا صار عنده أي problem please يحكيني, okay? لا 28. بس محمد حأعطيك رقمه. You can contact me anytime, okay? guys اللي بيخلص الفورم كله تمام.